Welcome to the World and Imam Hussein show. In this episode, we will be interviewing Father Nadim Nassar, who is a Christian priest. We want to find out what he thinks and knows of the story and legacy of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him. Father Nadim, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
It's a pleasure.
My first question is, where were you born and where were you growing up?
I was born in Syria, in the city of Latakia, which is a Syrian port on the Mediterranean Sea. So always the ports are open and they are more flexible because they are more in touch with the world through sailing and through ships and through the sea. Always the cities that are on the sea, the people are even more open-minded. I hope I am.
Over 10 years ago, Father Nadim co-founded an interfaith organization called Awareness Foundation, which aims to build bridges between different faith groups in the United Kingdom.
The Awareness Foundation is an educational foundation, it's a Christian foundation. We develop our own materials, educational materials, modules, courses, workshops for churches to use and for colleges, for seminaries, for any Christian group to use. The unique aspect of the Awareness Foundation is in all our programs, we invite scholars from other faiths to contribute in our programs. Every single program we have has a Muslim voice, has a Jewish voice, in order to understand ourselves better. Because I do believe, Hassan, I do believe that in order to understand ourselves better and truly and deeply, we need to listen to the other. Many Muslim friends and Muslim connections and relationships I have developed during the years I lived in London made me a better Christian. And this is how we should influence each other. So my interfaith relations helped me to go even deeper in my faith.
When did you first hear about Imam Hussein and the tragedy of Karbala?
You know, coming from the Middle East, Christians in the Middle East are different than Muslims in the West. Muslims in the West are mostly immigrants. Even if we talk about 100 years, fine, but still immigrants. Jesus Christ was born in Palestine, as we all know. And Palestine, in the time of the Roman Empire, was a satellite of Syria. So actually, Jesus Christ was a Syrian citizen. So he had a Jewish faith and he had a Syrian culture. So Christianity has existed in Syria for between 600 and 700 years before even Islam started. So we are not immigrants, we are not imported, we are genuinely we are genuinely part of the social fabrics of the society in Syria. So because of this environment in Syria and because we are genuinely part of the society, we live with Muslims everyday life. I grew up with friends, Muslim friends, Christian friends. We didn't even notice who is Muslim, who is Christian in our upbringing. In my classroom, my best friends were Muslims. So I grew up knowing the Muslim faith, the story of Islam. You know, every religion has a story to tell. Christianity has story to tell and Islam has story to tell. The Islamic story, or we in the Middle East, we love storytelling. And the Muslim stories we have heard since our birth. We know about Imam Hussein, about the Prophet himself, about Imam Ali, about all the Khulafa, or all the conquests and all the internal politics, the spread of Islam, and all these things is for me a second nature. I don't know. I can't tell you when I learned or heard about Imam Hussein, like any Muslim, from birth. When I started studying theology, and I started studying Islam as part of my theological education, and we started looking into the major personalities in Islam and the people who influenced the journey of this religion. And how can you study the journey of Islam without stopping and thinking and meditating about Imam Hussein? His whole story is a pillar of the history of Islam. So when I was in the theological college, I was 18. Later, I started looking deeper into the story in my research. And 2 years ago, I gave my first lecture on Imam Hussein and Karbala.
What's led you to do more research on Imam Hussein?
The concept of sacrifice, actually. If we look into Islam, we see the ultimate sacrifice in Islam was embodied in the event of Karbala. Because Imam Hussein was killed as an innocent man. Yazid wanted him to give the allegiance to his Khalifa or Khilafah. Imam Hussein felt he can't give this allegiance because it would be wrong, because Yazid was the wrong person on the chair in this position. So we need to look at the free stand of Imam Hussein. He stood up to Yazid and said a statement of truth. Jesus Christ stood up to the religious leaders in his time and said a statement of truth when he described them as hypocrites, because the religious leaders in the time of Jesus were not much better than Yazid. So you see where I'm coming from? There is a stand here and there is a stand here. And both of them paid the price of justice, of love, of self-giving with their lives, not less than their lives. So such a vision, such a clarity of thinking, which we rarely have these days, made both Imam Hussein and Jesus Christ pay their lives for what they believed in, for the truth. Because of that, we celebrate that in Christianity through the broken bread and the cup, and you celebrate in Ashura the sacrifice of Imam Hussein.
What kind of work have you produced on Imam Hussein's life?
I gave a lecture on Karbala. I gave another lecture to the university about the personality of Imam Hussein. And I gave a lecture during the Imam Hussein conference in London about a comparison between the vision of Imam Hussein and the vision of Jesus Christ. So I gave a lecture with Sayyid Ali Abbas Razawi. Together we gave a very interesting talks on the personality of Al-Imam Hussein to university students, which was really exciting for me, because young minds inspire you just by looking at you, by preparing for them. You need to take into consideration that young minds are listening. And I also compared the life of Imam Hussein with the life of Christ, and the bravery, the boldness of the two personalities. I talked about the graciousness. Although they were brave and courageous and strong, but they were gentle, loving, self-giving. You don't need to be rude to be strong. You don't need to be unapproachable to be bold and courageous. Actually, the bravest people are the gentlest people. The way he behaved, the way he talked, the way he taught, Imam Hussein. If you look at even to the last minute of his life, sacrificing his life, he was gentle. He was inside the battle of Karbala. He knew he couldn't win this battle, but he knew that he had to give his life for what he believed in. Because if he had compromised, I think it would have been a disaster. Although they were both, Imam Hussein and Jesus Christ, gentle souls, but they were not nice in the sense of being nice. They were people with vision. Because of that, they had the power of the stand for truth. And because of that, they had to pay the price. And both paid the price dearly. Because of that, they live. Jesus Christ lives through our faith that he rose from the dead physically. And Imam Hussein lives further through the teaching in the hearts and the minds of the believers. He is the master of martyrs. Muslims believe that he was, or he is, Sayyid al-Shuhada.
What was the reaction of the people when you gave these presentations?
The feedback was excellent. The feedback was amazing. And they wanted to know more. One of the best question and answer session in my career, in my life as a priest, was when I talked about Imam Hussein or Karbala or these subjects, to whether to Christians or Muslims, because such topics provoke people to think. They provoke people to go beyond the normal questions, into going deeper into life, the meaning and the purpose of life. And that is how religions should exist. We should inspire each other. We should provoke each other. But also, we should be agents of peace with each other.
How much pain did they make us all? How much pain did they make us all? How much pain did they make us all? Sabaya, Muharram, Spain will go past. Sabaya, Sabaya, Muharram, Spain will go past. Safa, Safa, and continues every month delivery. And continues every month. سجادة علي الأكبر. We came asking for the Father of Sajjada Ali al-Akbar. Where did he lay? Show me the way. Where did he lay? Show me the way. When you went to Karbala, who did you see? About Hussein, I ask you then you tell me where's Hussein's head and his great body.
Is Imam Hussein's message universal, or is it just confined for the Muslims?
Of course, I wouldn't allow you to take him from me. Of course, he inspired me throughout my studies, my life. He is universal, as well as Jesus Christ is universal, because we have to remember that those figures, because of their stand, because of their faith, because of their relationship with God, because of what they contributed to the humanity, they are universal. And the most wonderful thing about them is that they were local. They were rooted in their own belief, in their own culture, in their own environment. Both of them. If you look at the life of Imam Hussein, his family, his short life, as well as Jesus, his short life, because they were immersed in their locality and in their faith in God. Look, whenever a great personality combines these two dimensions, the spiritual dimension, the relationship with God and with faith, and the second dimension is the relationship with his people, his direct environment. When the combination comes in the right way, you have a great and universal and cosmic effect and a universal message. Because of that, such people like Imam Hussein, like Imam Ali, like Jesus Christ, like St. Paul, those people cannot be only local after that. In their environment, they influence their environment, in their locality. But because of their special insight to humanity, they become universal for everybody.
What makes Imam Hussein's story relevant today?
It can't be more relevant than today, I tell you. It couldn't be more applicable. The message of the story of Imam Hussein couldn't be more relevant to the society than today. Look at our world. Fanaticism, globalization, people are killing each other in the name of religion, and especially Muslims, and also Christianity, Jewish faith, Buddhists, Hindus. We are all involved in violence in the name of religion. What more relevant could be than the message of Imam Hussein or the message of Jesus Christ, who paid their lives to bring peace, to bring coexistence, to bring humanity a better life, a better coexistence, a better purpose. It is relevant. And for every human being, whether a Shia or a Sunni or a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu, it is an enrichment to know about Imam Hussein.
How does Imam Hussein's story unite Muslims, Christians, and people of the world?
Imam Hussein has the ability to build a lot of bridges between East-West, between religions, Because his story, his personality, his teachings have echoes in other religions. I can give lecture after lecture after lecture about similarities and differences between Imam Hussein and Jesus Christ. Such echoes are extremely important for us to build upon and construct bridges and relationships between our people so that they can understand each other and they can appreciate each other and not being judgmental to each other. That is the importance of people like Imam Hussein and Jesus Christ, because they have the similarities. There are differences, of course, two different stories. But it's enough that both stood up for justice, for love, for the divine will in our lives, for a better purpose, a better meaning, a better existence, and ultimately better humanity. And that's what we need today.
When you read about Imam Hussein and the story of Karbala, which moment did it strike you the most?
His attitude towards children, trying to protect children, although he knew the children would have the same fate as him, and they were killed. But his tender heart in the middle of this cruelty around him is heartwarming. When you see somebody is facing bloodshed everywhere, cruelty, is still, his heart is moving towards protecting children. It's unbelievable. It's incredible attitude. It's incredible moment in history. I have all admiration and appreciation to this devotion. One thing I ask myself and I ask them: are we going there purely out of devotion and purely out of love, in a sense of having feelings? Or are we aware of the depth of his life, the depth of his teachings, and what he stood for? I think devotion only is not enough. I may love you and be devout to you, but if I don't know who you are and what you stand for, my love would be missing something significant. So I would ask people who have the devotion to Imam Hussein, as well as I ask Christians who have devotion to Jesus Christ and go to Palestine to visit where he walked and where he taught and where he lived, and I say, devotion is fine, wonderful. This zeal, this passion for these huge personalities is absolutely wonderful, but it shouldn't stop at this. It would be pity. It should go further, to learn from them, to be inspired by them, and to feel that their lives, their message still live through us further. That is the power of faith. Imam Hussein can be a uniting factor for different factions within Islam and for different religions. Uniting in the sense of not being one religion, no, but of making a step towards the other and making a step to understand the other. Because I always say to Christians, if you believe in Jesus Christ, if you love Jesus Christ, if you really have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, you need to understand and appreciate that Jesus Christ asks us all to open up to the other. He said, love your enemy, bless who hate you, pray for those who persecute you. If we are not open to the other because we believe in Christ, then our faith has no meaning, is empty, is passion and love and sometimes euphoric, but has no substance. And I say to the Muslims also, you need to understand the message of Imam Hussein, the stand for justice, the stand for innocence, the resentment to compromise about the truth. That is what makes our faith in Islam has substance. Otherwise, anybody can manipulate religion. Anybody can twist religion and brainwash us in order to do what we don't want to do. And what Islam, true Islam, wouldn't accept you to do. Those people who are being manipulated and twisted in the name of Islam are the shallow people. Those who do not understand the depth of the life, the martyrdom, the teachings, and the message of Imam Hussein. To stop fanaticism, to stop the manipulation, to stop the people who are making religion a business, we need to go deeper in our faith. But as we go deeper in our faith, we need to go wider in our perspective. Because if you are deep in your faith, you shouldn't be fanatic. You shouldn't be closed-minded. Open your perspective, go deeper in your faith, and be inclusive to others. Then you are an agent of peace, an agent of reconciliation, an agent of forgiveness, and an agent of justice. And that what reflects the message of Imam Hussein or Jesus Christ. This is when we become mirrors to these wonderful personalities. If we can't reflect this light, then what is the sense, the purpose, and the meaning of our religion and our faith? Unfortunately, this is prevailing, this manipulation. We should stand up like Imam Hussein did, like Jesus Christ did, and say no to that. And say that there is a higher purpose, there is a better meaning for life than to kill you only because you are different than me. I would love you because you are different. I would want to learn from you because you are different. I would make a step towards you because you are different. This is the way you and I build our future.
Father Nadim, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.